My name is Marley Quinn, and I'm 31 years old. If you looked at my life on paper, color-coded calendar, emergency fund with neat round numbers, invoices filed in matching folders, you'd probably assume I'm boring. Reliable, sensible, the kind of woman who brings a cardigan just in case and reads the terms and conditions instead of scrolling past. You wouldn't call me dramatic. But apparently, I'm the woman who destroyed a wedding with a stack of invitations. That's what Lucas's mother told anyone who would listen. What really happened is less cinematic and more logical. Painfully logical. Lucas Hale, 29, my boyfriend of almost 4 years, and my fiancé for the last one, was sprawled on my couch the night this all started. The coffee table between us was covered in wedding invitation proofs. Textured ivory paper, gold lettering, the kind of thing Pinterest boards are built on. I sat cross-legged on the rug, red pen in hand, circling typos and spacing issues. Calm, focused. The TV hummed quietly in the background, some baking show we weren't actually watching. Okay, I said, tapping one proof. This line about Mr. and Mrs. Hale requests the honor. Your mom wanted that, right? Lucas grimaced. Yeah, but that's patriarchal nonsense. Mr. and Mrs., like my mom's first name, evaporated when she married my dad. I smiled faintly. I had heard this speech before, about his principles. We can adjust the wording. He leaned forward, picking up another sample, lips twisting. Actually, Marley, I've been thinking. I'm not taking your last name. I blinked. I never asked you to. I know, but I want to be explicit about it. He dropped the proof back on the table like it offended him. I'm keeping mine. It's about autonomy. I don't think anyone should give up their identity for a marriage. Not you, not me. Okay, I said slowly, that's your choice. He stared at me like he was waiting for a fight. When I didn't give him one, he kept going, voice warming with conviction. I'm serious, Mar. The whole name change thing is outdated. It's patriarchal. Symbolism matters. I don't want us to pretend we're becoming some merged, blurry unit. I want us to be two individuals choosing to build a life side by side, not fusing into one person. I underlined a line of text on the proof and hummed. Two autonomous individuals, then. Exactly. His eyes lit up. Autonomy. Separate identities. We're equals, not property. On the surface, I agreed with most of that. I'm not sentimental about paperwork. But as he talked, I could see the collision ahead. Lucas storming around our apartment, making speeches about smashing archaic customs, versus his grandmother quoting Bible verses about becoming one flesh at Thanksgiving. Just to be clear, I said, looking up at him, you don't want our marriage to look traditional on paper? I don't want it to be traditional, he corrected, emphatic. I want it to be honest. If we're keeping separate legal identities, that should be reflected everywhere. No pretending. Everywhere, I repeated. He grinned. Now you're getting it. Modern thinking. He leaned over, kissed my forehead, and went back to scrolling on his phone. That was the moment. The quiet hinge the whole disaster would swing on. Later that night, after Lucas fell asleep on the couch with his mouth slightly open and a baking show finale playing to an audience of none, I sat back at the dining table with my laptop. The apartment was still, the kind of late-night quiet where the hum of the fridge sounds loud. I opened my email and found our wedding planner's last thread. My fingers hovered over the keys for a moment as I replayed his words in my head. I don't want us to pretend we're becoming some merged, blurry unit. If we're keeping separate legal identities, that should be reflected everywhere. No pretending. Subject line, change to invitation wording needed. I typed, Hi, we've decided to update the language of our invitations to better reflect our values. Instead of request the honor of your presence at the marriage of, please use phrasing that emphasizes a commitment ceremony between two autonomous individuals maintaining separate legal identities and rejecting traditional unity customs. Please send revised proofs. Marley. I read it twice. It sounded clinical, almost sterile, but it was exactly what Lucas had said. No pretending. My cursor hovered over send. This is what he wants, I whispered to myself. He's always saying people should own their choices. Click. The planner called the next morning. Hi, Marley. I just want to confirm this change. It's unusual. Confirmed, I said, pouring coffee. My fiancé is maintaining his separate identity and rejecting traditional marriage customs. The invitation should reflect that. A pause crackled on the line. You're sure? So is refusing to symbolically join names, I said. Let's keep everything consistent. 3 days later, the new proofs arrived. You are invited to witness the partnership ceremony of two autonomous individuals choosing cohabitation while maintaining separate legal identities. No traditional unity customs will be observed. I stared at the wording and felt a flicker of something that wasn't quite satisfaction and wasn't quite dread, maybe both. This is his language, I told myself. He'll understand. I approved them. 180 invitations printed and mailed within the week. The first explosion came from his grandmother. Lucas and I were in my kitchen when his phone lit up on the counter, Grandma Ruth. He put it on speaker, still cracking eggs into a bowl. "Hey, Grandma," he said lightly. "I received your invitation," she said, putting weight on the last word like it tasted bad. "What is this?" Lucas shot me a look. I kept my face neutral, rinsing berries in the sink. "What do you mean?" he asked. "It says you're cohabitating while maintaining separate legal identities. Are you living together without marriage?" Her voice sharpened. "Is that what you're inviting me to witness, Sin?" Lucas went pale. "No, Grandma, it's just modern language." "Modern?" she snapped. "It sounds like a business contract. Autonomous individuals? No traditional unity customs? What am I supposed to tell my church group?" "Tell them we're getting married," he said, eyes begging me to jump in. "This doesn't say married," she shot back. "It says partnership and cohabitation. Are you pregnant, Marley? Is that why you're doing this?" I almost choked on a raspberry. "No, ma'am," I said carefully. "I am very disappointed," she said. "I will pray for you." She hung up. Lucas rounded on me. "What did you do?" I set the berry bowl down. "I made invitations that match your values." "My values?" His voice rose. "I never said to make it sound like we were shacking up in sin. You said we're cohabitating as two autonomous individuals, rejecting traditional unity customs." I gestured toward the stack of leftover proofs on the counter. "Those are your words, Lucas. I just translated them into stationery." He raked a hand through his hair. "This isn't what I wanted." "What did you want?" I asked, keeping my tone mild. "To reject traditions but have everyone pretend you didn't? That's not honesty. That's branding." He glared. "You're twisting everything." "I'm applying your logic consistently," I said. "If you want autonomy and no symbolic unity, our guests deserve to know what they're attending." Before he could answer, his phone rang again. "Mom." He answered, and her voice came through like a storm. "What in God's name are these invitations?" "Hi, Mom," he said weakly. "Your father's business partners received them. Do you know what they're saying? That you're mocking marriage. That this is some kind of political stunt." "It's about my name," he muttered. "I'm keeping my name." "So you humiliate us with these insane invitations?" she snapped. "No traditional unity customs? Maintaining separate identities? What does that even mean?" "It means," I said under my breath, exactly what he said. She barreled on. "You fix this today or the wedding is off." She hung up. Lucas dropped his phone on the counter like it burned. Then he turned, eyes blazing. "You did this on purpose." "I did this accurately," I replied. "You rejected traditional marriage customs. I made sure the invitations reflected that." His jaw clenched. "Fix it." "No." "What do you mean, no?" "You made this choice," I said quietly. "Own it." He stared at me like he didn't recognize me. Then he grabbed his keys, slammed the door, and peeled out of the driveway, tires screaming down the street. My phone buzzed 30 seconds later, a text from his mother. 6 p.m. tonight. Our house. We need to talk. I looked at the message, at the empty doorway, at the neat stack of invitations on my counter. This was never about paper. It was about whether Lucas actually believed the words he loved to say out loud. And what would happen when those words were finally printed in ink. I typed back, "Sure, I'll be there." And for the first time since we got engaged, I had the sinking feeling that the real ceremony had already begun. And it wasn't about vows. It was about truth. 6 p.m. at Lucas's parents' house felt less like a talk and more like a summons. They live in one of those manicured suburbs with matching mailboxes and HOA newsletters about acceptable flowerbed colors. As I pulled up, every light in their 2-story colonial was on, glowing like a judgmental spaceship. I parked, turned the engine off, and sat there for a moment, hands on the steering wheel. My pulse was steady, but my stomach felt like it had swallowed a handful of ice cubes. "You didn't lie," I reminded myself. "You just stopped pretending for them." The front door opened before I could knock. Lucas's father, Richard, stood there in a pressed button-down, jaw set. He didn't say hello. He just stepped aside and pointed to the living room. Everyone was already there. His mother perched on the edge of an armchair, ankles crossed so tightly her knuckles were white where she gripped the armrests. Grandma Ruth and the other grandmother, Evelyn, sat side by side on the couch like a disapproval committee. His sister Jenna hovered near the fireplace, arms folded. An aunt I'd only half met sat in the corner, eyes bright with the thrill of someone else's drama. Lucas sat apart from all of them, in an armchair by the window, staring at his hands. He didn't look up when I walked in. "Sit down," his mother said. No greeting, no smile. I sat on the edge of the love seat, back straight. The invitations might as well have been stacked in the middle of the coffee table like evidence. His mother inhaled sharply. "Those invitations are being reprinted," she began, "with proper wording. You will cover the cost." A beat of silence. "Is Lucas taking my name?" I asked. Her eyes flashed. "That is not the issue." "That's exactly the issue," I said evenly. "The invitations reflect his choice. He's keeping his name, maintaining separate identity, rejecting traditional unity symbolism. I just made sure our guests weren't misled." Grandma Ruth leaned forward, the pearls at her throat catching the light. "Young lady, marriage is about unity. Two becoming one flesh. You can't have marriage without unity." "I agree," I said. "Tell your grandson." The room went still. Everyone looked at Lucas. He stared at the carpet. His father cleared his throat. "Nobody cares about the name. They care that these invitations make us look insane." I turned my head slowly. "So if he quietly keeps his name but we print traditional marriage invitations with all the right symbolism, then we're sane?" His mother snapped. "We just want normal wording. Request the honor of your presence at the marriage of, like everyone else." "Okay," I said. "Then we need to be honest about what kind of marriage that is." Evelyn tried for a soothing tone. "Maybe you're both being too literal. It's just paper." Lucas finally lifted his head. "Marley, can you please just stop with this? We don't have to turn my last name into a manifesto." I looked straight at him. "You already did." His jaw tightened. I folded my hands in my lap. "Let me be very clear. I'm not against you keeping your name. I'm against pretending nothing's changed while you lecture about autonomy. You can't stand in front of our guests and say, 'We're just like every other traditional couple,' when you specifically said you don't want that." His mother exhaled sharply. "So what are you proposing?" "Two options," I said. I could feel my heart picking up speed, but my voice stayed calm. Option 1, traditional marriage with traditional signals. That might mean a shared family name, or at least some unity symbolism you actually believe in. Unity candle, combined last name, something that says, "We're one family now." We reprint traditional invitations to match that. Or, his father asked. Option 2, I continued, autonomous partnership. Separate legal identities, no symbolic unity. Then we keep the invitations as is because they're honest. We don't sell people a Hallmark version of something you've already dismantled. The room erupted into overlapping voices. His aunt, "And this is ridiculous, it's just a name." Jenna, "Why is everyone acting like Marley wrote a manifesto? Lucas is the one always ranting." His mother, "You are humiliating this family." Grandma Ruth, "In my day, this would never..." Richard stood, palms out. "Enough." He turned to me, eyes cold. "You will reprint those invitations with normal wording, immediately." I met his stare. "No." The word hung there, heavier than anything else I'd said. His mother's face went red. "After everything we've done for you." "You've done a lot for your son," I said quietly. "I'm not denying that. But this isn't about a font or a phrase. This is about Lucas wanting to reject the symbolism of unity while still enjoying the social approval of looking like he didn't." Lucas shot to his feet. "That's not what I..." "It's exactly what you said," I cut in gently. "You said you don't want to pretend we're becoming one, remember? You don't want to merge identities. You want autonomy. I'm not punishing you for that. I'm just refusing to lie about it for you." Grandma Ruth pointed a trembling finger at me. "Marriage is becoming one flesh." I nodded. "Then your problem is with him, not with me." His mother's voice dropped, low and dangerous. "Get out of my house." For a moment, my chest tightened. I thought about the holidays we'd spent here, the family photos on the staircase where I'd imagined my own face someday. Then I stood. "Let me know," I said, looking at all of them, "when you've decided what you're actually doing." I walked out. Nobody followed. In the car, I sat for a full minute before turning the key. My hands were shaking now, not from fear, from the feeling of stepping off a ledge you hadn't realized you were standing on. I half expected Lucas to call that night. He didn't. Instead, the next call came 2 days later, in the middle of a budget review meeting. My phone buzzed with his father's name. I silenced it. When it buzzed again, I excused myself and stepped into the hallway. "Marley," Richard said when I answered, "we need to resolve this." His tone had shifted, less furious, more transactional. I'm listening, I said. I'll give you $10,000, he said, like he was negotiating a contract. You reprint normal invitations with normal wording and drop this little experiment. I closed my eyes for a second. $10,000 would more than cover my half of the deposits I'd already paid. I could almost feel the relief of watching this whole mess dissolve into polite small talk and fake smiles. Is Lucas taking my name? I asked. Silence. That's not the point, he said finally. It's the only point, I replied. I'm not paying, or letting you pay, for a traditional wedding advertisement of a non-traditional arrangement. If he wants autonomy, fine, but we're not lying about what it means. He'll consider taking it, Richard said. He just needs time. The invitations don't have to spell any of this out. You're destroying this family over semantics. No, I said softly. I'm refusing to hide your son's choices so you can stay comfortable. That's different. His voice hardened. You're making a mistake. I'd rather make an honest mistake than build a marriage on pretending, I said. So the answer is no. He hung up without saying goodbye. That night, I didn't sleep much. I lay awake staring at the ceiling, my brain running cost-benefit analyses on things you can't quantify. $10,000 versus living with someone who folded every time his family frowned. A wedding day versus a lifetime of managing his contradictions. Around midnight, the ring notification lit up my phone. Motion detected. Front door. The live view popped up. Lucas standing in the hallway of my building, hair messy, eyes red-rimmed. He shoved his hands into his jacket pockets and looked straight at the camera. Marley, open the door, he said. His voice echoed through the tiny speaker. I pressed the talk button. What do you want to talk about? He flinched slightly. Just let me in, please. No, I said. You walked out. You can talk from there. He stared at the camera for a long moment, jaw working. Then he exhaled. Fine, He broke off, scrubbed a hand over his face. I'll take your name. Whatever. I'll do it. Just reprint normal invitations and stop saying all that other stuff. My throat tightened. For one stupid, hopeful second, I wanted to believe him. To imagine he'd had a genuine change of heart in 48 hours. When did you decide that? I asked. Tonight, he said quickly. After everything, I realized I was wrong. No, I said quietly. You realized your choices have consequences. He frowned. Does it matter why? I'm agreeing with you. Isn't that what you wanted? What I want, I said, choosing my words carefully, is to marry someone who knows what he believes about marriage, autonomy, tradition, all of it, and can stand by it without me running interference for him. That's not fair, he snapped. This whole thing blew up. Everyone's freaking out. My grandmother won't talk to me. My mom is losing her mind. People at my dad's office are gossiping. You lit a match and walked away. I lit a candle with your name on it, I countered. You're the one who poured gasoline on your own life by performing principles you weren't ready to live. He stared at the camera, eyes glossy. So what do you want from me? The answer sat heavy in my chest. I wanted the version of him who spoke about equality and autonomy to be real, not just an aesthetic. I wanted his backbone to be as strong as his speeches. I want you to mean whatever you choose, I said. If you keep your name, I want you to own it and stop asking me to hide it. If you take mine, I want you to do it because you actually believe in the unity it symbolizes, not because you're tired of your mother crying. God, Marley, he muttered, you always make everything a test. I swallowed. No, life is the test. I just stopped cheating for you. He flinched like I'd slapped him. For a second, I thought he might say something that would change everything. A confession, a real conviction, maybe. Instead, he shook his head. You're impossible. Good night, Lucas, I said. I muted the camera. On the screen, he stood there for another 20 minutes, pacing, arguing with the closed door, with himself, with the situation. I watched from the couch, sound off, like it was a movie about someone I used to know. Eventually, he left. The silence that followed wasn't peaceful. It was the kind of silence you get in a building after the structural beams have cracked, right before everything either collapses or is rebuilt from the ground up. I just didn't know yet which one we were heading for. The engagement party was supposed to be a performance of unity. Instead, it became the stage where everything cracked open. Lucas's parents insisted we attend to show stability. I didn't want to go, but avoiding it would only make things worse. Conflict, like mold, thrives in dark corners. Better to walk in with the lights on. The country club ballroom gleamed with gold accents and crystal vases, a shrine to tradition. 80 people filled the space. His parents' friends, business associates, extended family, church members. Lucas stood across the room in a navy suit, shoulders stiff, avoiding my gaze. I arrived at 7 p.m. sharp. Within 10 minutes, his aunt swooped in like a vulture with a designer purse. "So, Marley." She smiled like a shark. "These invitations, what exactly is the story there?" I held my glass steady. The story is exactly what the invitation says. Lucas is keeping his last name, maintaining separate identity, and rejecting traditional marriage customs. So we described the ceremony accurately. Her mascaraed lashes twitched. "But you're still getting married, right?" I tilted my head. "We're having a commitment ceremony that celebrates autonomy and individual identity." She blinked. "That sounds like roommates with nicer paperwork." I didn't argue. I didn't have to. By 7:30, the whisper circle had turned into a full murmur. People edged closer, asking questions directly. "Aren't you two becoming a family?" "But then why say autonomous individuals? Is this some political protest wedding?" Each time I answered, "Lucas doesn't want symbolic unity. The invitations reflect his beliefs." The more calmly I repeated it, the more frantic Lucas became. At 8 p.m., he grabbed my arm and pulled me behind a pillar draped in faux ivy. "Stop," he hissed. "Stop telling people that." "Telling them what you said?" I asked. He clenched his jaw. "You're embarrassing me." "You're embarrassing yourself," I replied softly. "You wanted to make a statement. Congratulations. Everyone's heard it." His best friend, Shane, wandered over, drink in hand. "Hey, congrats, guys. Though, those invitations were unique." Before I could respond, Lucas cut in. "It was a printing issue." "No," I said, "it wasn't." Shane raised an eyebrow. "Lucas is keeping his last name," I explained. "He doesn't believe in unity symbolism, so the invitations reflect an autonomous partnership." Shane looked stunned. "Oh, so, wait, you're not taking his name either?" "Of course not," Lucas snapped. "This isn't the 1950s. Shane nodded slowly and drifted away, clearly ready to gossip. Then Grandma Ruth appeared like a biblical reckoning. Her voice, thin and sharp, sliced through the conversation. "Feminism. Is that what this is? In my day, feminists burned bras, not marriage certificates." A crowd formed. Another guest whispered, "So what kind of ceremony is this exactly?" I answered, "A cohabitation partnership ceremony with separate identities. No traditional unity customs." Lucas's voice cracked. "Marley, stop talking like a legal notice." "How should I talk?" I asked. "Like we're becoming one family? Because we're not, according to you." His mother rushed over. "Okay, everyone calm down." But Grandma Ruth wasn't done. She pointed her cane at Lucas. "I have been married 54 years. We became one flesh. That is marriage. This," she gestured between us, "is roommates with papers." The room went dead silent. Lucas's face drained of color. He backed away, shaking his head, muttered something, and fled toward the restrooms. His father marched up to me, voice low and dangerous. "You need to leave. Now." I held his stare. "Your son created this situation. He wanted autonomy without accountability." "You're not welcome here," he snapped. So I left. Not dramatically, not in tears, just walked out the doors, past the gold leaf mirrors, down the marble steps, into the cool night air that tasted like relief and regret. By the time I reached home, my phone was a war zone. Text after text from his relatives. "You're manipulative. You humiliated him. You ruined the party. Fix this. Fix everything." Then one from Lucas. "What the hell is wrong with you?" I didn't answer. The next morning, I woke to an email from a law office. Subject: Demand for damages. Invitation. Reprinting and emotional distress. Lucas's family was demanding $15,000 from me to reprint proper invitations, or they would pursue legal action. I forwarded the email to my lawyer Gavin, who called laughing so hard he choked. "He's suing you for printing what he said?" "Oh, Marley, this is gold. I'll handle it." He drafted a response. Plaintiff initiated rejection of traditional marriage customs. Defendant created invitations accurately reflecting plaintiff's stated values. Plaintiff's embarrassment over her own choices does not constitute damages. Further, plaintiff's harassment campaign, including threatening messages and family pressure, demonstrates malicious intent. He CC'd their lawyer. Within the hour, Lucas went nuclear. He filed a complaint with my company's HR, claiming I was harassing him and that he feared for his safety. I got called into HR that afternoon. My manager looked pale. The HR director steepled her fingers. "We received a personal complaint involving you and your fiancé?" "Ex-fiancé," I said. They exchanged looks. "Marley," HR asked carefully, "is there any truth to these allegations?" I handed them printouts, screenshots, emails, the family's lawsuit threats, his text demanding I fix his contradictions. When I finished, HR was silent. Finally, the director said, "This appears to be an inappropriate use of company resources on his part. If he contacts us again, we will consider pursuing harassment charges against him." Then she added, "He is banned from the building effective immediately." I walked out of HR with trembling hands, not from fear, but from the surreal realization that Lucas was burning down his own life one match at a time. That night at 11:04 p.m., my Ring camera lit up again. 3 figures stood at my door. Lucas, his mother, his sister. His mother spoke first, voice clipped. "We need to talk." I pressed the speaker button. "About what?" "About fixing this mess," she said. "Your son's mess," I corrected. Lucas looked up at the camera, eyes glassy. "Marley, please, I'll take your name, okay? I'll do it. Just reprint the invitations." "Do you want to?" I asked calmly. "Or are you trying to make your mother stop crying?" Silence. His sister threw up her hands. "Oh my God, she's apologizing. What more do you want from him?" "I want him to mean what he says," I answered. "And he doesn't." Lucas's mother huffed. "You arrogant little—" I muted the speaker. They stayed for 19 minutes, arguing, whispering, waiting for the door to open. It never did. 2 days later, I was served with legal papers. Lucas had escalated again, this time demanding $40,000 in wedding costs and emotional damages. My lawyer's response was blistering. Within 48 hours, the case was dropped. But something else had broken. Not legal, not financial. The last illusion of who Lucas was. By the time the papers were withdrawn, I knew exactly where this story was heading. The wedding wasn't going to happen. The only question left was whether Lucas would end it himself, or whether I'd have to. 2 weeks before the wedding, at 11:16 a.m. on a Tuesday, my phone buzzed during a meeting. "Lucas, I can't do this anymore. The wedding's off." That was all it said. 5 years together, and our engagement ended in 10 words and a period. I stared at the message for a long moment, then I typed back, "Okay, not cruel, not pleading, just finished." He didn't reply. And just like that, the avalanche that had been building for months finally slid off the cliff. No screaming match, no dramatic confrontation, just a quiet admission that neither of us had the marriage we thought we were building. Except I had known that for weeks. He just realized at last. The fallout. The first call came from his mother the next day. She didn't even say hello. "You owe us for the deposits," she snapped. $18,000. Flowers, dress, venue upgrades. You caused this. "I paid $12,000 of my own already," I replied. "That's my loss." "You're paying for the rest." "No," I said. "You sabotaged this wedding with those monstrous invitations." "I made honest invitations," I corrected. "Your son sabotaged it by wanting contradictory things and expecting me to clean it up." She inhaled sharply, like she was about to unleash the apocalypse, but then hung up instead. His father tried next. "You will cover the family's expenses," he said, each syllable clipped. "Your family paid for a wedding your son wasn't ready for," I replied. "That's not my responsibility." Click. After that, the barrage shifted online. His sister posted vague quotes about abusive partners hiding behind logic. His best friend posted about toxic women ruining good men. Some of his coworkers hinted at psychological manipulation. But then something changed. Someone, I still don't know who, posted a photo of the actual invitation. The comments flipped instantly. Wait, Lucas didn't want unity symbolism? Why call it manipulation when she literally printed what he said? Sounds like he wanted the aesthetic of rebellion, but not the consequences. This is what happens when people want Instagram principles instead of real ones. His friends splintered, some deleted their posts, some quietly unfollowed him. Some messaged me privately to apologize. One of his ex-best friends wrote, "I'm sorry, he made it sound like you were controlling him." But the receipts don't lie. He wasn't ready to stand by his own words. I wasn't vindictive enough to say I told you so. But that didn't stop me from feeling the weight lifting off my shoulders. Lucas worked at a conservative old money law firm, which is why his next move was baffling. He posted a long LinkedIn essay titled, "Smashing the Patriarchy, Why I Refuse Oppressive Name Change Customs." His boss saw it within an hour. A meeting was called. He insisted his personal beliefs shouldn't affect his job. They insisted his job depended on not alienating their very traditional, very wealthy clients. He was placed on probation. 2 weeks later, he resigned before they could fire him. His grandmother, the church one, found out next. She removed him from her will, a trust worth about $175,000. Her note to him leaked through the family grapevine. If you cannot respect family traditions, you do not deserve family money. His parents stopped covering his rent. He moved back home at 29. His social circle shrank to a handful of people still buying his narrative. The irony? I never lifted a finger against him. He swung every hammer himself. Some stayed loyal to him. Most drifted toward neutrality. A few reached out to me directly. I'm sorry he blamed you for everything. He said you manipulated him, but you were just consistent. Honestly, he embarrassed himself. I didn't ask for allies. I didn't need them. But the truth has a way of working itself out when enough eyes see the evidence. My life didn't explode. It reset. Work actually got better. Without wedding chaos, I focused hard and earned a promotion. My boss congratulated me with a quiet, "Glad things stabilized for you." I sold the ring for $9,500, nearly covered my lost deposits. My family told me they were proud I didn't fold under pressure. My mother said, "Better a canceled wedding than a doomed marriage." My apartment stayed quiet, neat, peaceful. I wasn't dating. I wasn't even thinking about it. I was simply breathing again. People kept asking if I regretted sending those invitations. Here's what I always said. No, the invitations didn't end the relationship. They revealed there was no relationship to save. Lucas didn't want a marriage. He wanted a wedding. He wanted applause without conviction. He wanted autonomy until it cost him something. He wanted progressive aesthetics with traditional validation. And when faced with the consequences of his own words, he blamed the person who refused to hide them. Some bullets are small. Some leave holes the size of your future. I dodged one shaped like a lifetime of managing someone else's contradictions. And I'm willing to pay $12,000 for that kind of freedom every single time.